How do you feel too? Henry Cejudo against Wilson Hayes was tremendous. He was like a different fighter, and now and Sergio is set to fight him. So were you surprised at how good Cejudo looked in his last fight?
No, I mean, anytime you take a guy who's an Olympian, of course he's going to adjust and learn all these things. Any elite black belt in any discipline, elite guy is going to get better if he wants to get better. Speaking of, I got to send props always as I do to Matt Serra. Everyone would have thought he submitted George St. Pierre to win the world title. He knocked out George St. Pierre. So, again, he's living proof of you had a will to master one discipline, you have the will to master another. That being said, my buddy Michael Tang, who's a former Olympic Taekwondo coach, he's been working with Henry. That's why he had a different guard, a little longer, a little bit more playful. You can see that Henry's trying out some other disciplines besides just straight boxing and Muay Thai. He kind of had a traditional martial arts stance. That being said, I kind of like it that he's playing that because that's what Sergio's upbringing is. Before I hooked up with Sergio when he was 12, he was a world champion in Taekwondo as a child. So that being said, I like the fact that Henry's dabbling in that. It plays more into our world. But Henry's a hell of an opponent, incredible fighter. But one of our teammates actually did quite well against him. Chico Camus, when he was fighting in the UFC, did a great job of nullifying most of his takedowns. And Chico did not grow up wrestling. He was just a freestyle MMA fighter. So that being said, Sergio and Henry is going to be a great fight. But Sergio's really coming into himself. The other thing that Sergio does, he spends 2 to 3 days a week in the Chicago suburbs with Izzy Martinez, who's a prolific wrestling coach in the Midwest. He wrestled at Iowa himself, but he's got a bunch of great kids who he's producing a lot of future NCAA greats, all-state champions. So Sergio goes down there and just brawls with those guys. He's at that age where he can still wrestle hard and get in there, and I think that's going to be the telltale. And as well, Sergio's jiu-jitsu game is very underrated. And I'm just excited about the opportunity for Sergio to get to fight someone like Henry.
And also, what about we have to jump, of course, to our pal CM Punk. On Instagram there was a caption back in Punk camp with my man CM Punk. So how is he doing? And is there any do we have any type of a fight announcement for him, or at least a thought?
Dana and the matchmakers have their weekly matchmaking meeting yesterday, and we're going to hear some news soon, I think. I think obviously Mickey Gall, Matt can attest, he was there when he called him out, and we've seen how successful Mickey's been. He beat Sage. He's got a tough fight coming up with Randy Brown, another guy, a product of Dana's show.
Right.
I just think, everyone, big-time fighters have first-time cage jitters, let alone debut fighters. Even, I think I was really proud of my fellow kickboxer, Gokhan Saki, but it even hit the Saki bomb man, He got in there and got gassed a little bit. I just think the first time you're in the octagon, even as a coach, it'll throw you off, let alone the fighters that get in there. There's something special that you got to deal with getting in there. But that being said, we've really rebounded. And I think always when you lose a fight, it's a blessing in disguise because now the O's gone. You don't have to worry about being invincible. A lot of questions get answered. For Punk, he gets this sounds really weird, but now he knows what a beating feels like,
sure.
A real beating.
Yeah.
And I think that will help a lot of fighters. It'll to the point of haunt them, like, no, I don't want to feel this way ever again. And it's not the physical. Anyway, these guys are tough. It's the mental anguish, and you don't want to feel that, depressing, embarrassing feeling of getting beat up in front of God and everyone. It's no fun. And it's been great motivation for him to get a little bit more schooled. I can tell you till the cows come home what to do,
Sure.
but until you actually get in the middle of a freestyle fist fight where everything's flying, punches, knees, elbows, kicks, takedowns, elbows on the mat, full power punches, full power chokes and locks. You just don't know till you know.
Well, Duke, do you think too, like that first punch he threw, which was kind of a tailor-made thing for Mickey Gall to take him down? It's probably the worst thing he could have done in that moment. Was just a moment of just being a little overeager and anxious, and like you said, those octagon jitters of where the guy is there, and you just, instead of kind of stepping back and collecting yourself and thinking, you just get a bit over anxious.
Well, I think that it's like, looking back at from us, he didn't throw it to his full power potential. He second-guessed himself a little bit, and that's where you get yourself in trouble. You got to commit to everything that you do. Maybe it looked a little wilder, but, the thing is, you got to, if you're going to attempt to hit someone, you got to make a full-fledged effort, and I think that was the tactical error there. And just, getting used to everything's faster on fight night or in any other sport, game day, or actors who do live or comedians that go on stage. When you do it for real, it's completely faster and a lot more aggressive.
And also, what are your thoughts on Tyron not getting the GSP fight? I mean, he trained with you, and then all this criticism, and I kind of stuck up for him. I love an exciting fight as much as everybody, but when you're fighting a guy like Damian Maia, who's going to do nothing but try to take you down and strangle you, you have to do something. And did you feel the criticism of his game plan there was justified?
Well, I'll take it because I'm one of the people that helped plan the Dean and I. Dean is a master strategist. He does not get enough credit for the work that Dean does. He's incredible with that, and we're a real good connection. And I think Carlos recently said, well, I see where people are coming from, that he wasn't aggressive. That being said, Carlos being aggressive, I was there to see it personally, watch Damian Maia beat him. Damian is the Mike Tyson of jiu-jitsu. If you play in his world, you will lose. I've seen him do it to so many incredible fighters in the UFC. He's one of those people that has a single style approach to the sport that can beat anyone. A lot of people don't think he can strike. It's funny. I've known Damian since his debut at UFC 77, and I just happened to be in the same locker room with him on many occasions as he's coming up. So him and his management, his team, I know real well. And he mentioned something. He goes, I used to see you in all the karate magazines in Brazil when I was a boy. I go, Damian, why were you looking at karate magazines? Because he actually used to do karate, and a lot of people don't give him enough credit. There's two sides of striking. The one is obviously attacking. Two is defense, and I think that's the one thing that people don't give Damian enough credit for. He's crafty in there at not getting knocked out and nullifying your striking enough to make his game work well. He's just a very hard matchup. Him and Wonder Boy, those two guys are specialists, and specialists are the hardest guys to prepare for.
No, that's 100% true. What do you think, Duke? And listen, congrats on the win. I'm definitely not attacking you. I love you. With that fight, if Damian Maia didn't go forward, what happens then? Like, is there a different game plan? Is Tyron going to look to take him out, or are they just staring at each other? And I mean that, I'm being serious.
Oh, no, I agree with you. No, here's the other thing. Tyron, and I'm not criticizing at all for this, he's just being a proud fighter that he's been taught to be. He didn't tell us his right arm's hurt. If you tell us our right arm's hurt, let's look to make more attacks with our left arm. The thing is, the hardest thing, the worst thing I believe you can do against Damian Maia is kick. He does a good job of taking people down off of kicks, off of knees. That's a tough thing. Having trained with Ben Askren for so long, him and Ben are a lot alike, where they just sloth onto you. Yeah. And, Ben was in the corner with us coaching. And, that's the hard thing. When you fight someone who's got that style, it doesn't leave much on the table to not get tied up by him. And, I wish I would have known that Tyron's right arm was hurt. We didn't know as bad, obviously, the adrenaline afterwards. But, again, the other thing, too, is only a 5-week camp for that fight as well. So, it was an opportunity that Dana gave him. You can't complain about it because he gave him a great opportunity to be on a great card. what I always say, you do your best and, let's learn from it and get better on the next performance. Now, if he goes out there and stinks the bed up against the next guy, then, here's the thing. I got John McDessie on the Winnipeg card, and I'll be there to see who's going to win between Robbie and Dos Anjos. Now, there's a fight. You don't have to worry about anyone being boring. Whether Robbie gets the title shot or whether Rafael gets the title shot, that's going to be a great fight. You just can't, when you match those types of fighters together, not putting anyone down. Styles make fights, unfortunately. That's the hard thing about this sport.
Yeah, and the best thing about the sport in the same
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I mean, I wish every fight could be fireworks. It would be awesome. But at the end of the day, the other thing, too, the sports science in our sport, everyone's getting way better at defenses, offenses. The fun thing about MMA, I feel like there's less defense